How much money do you need for wealth management? So let's just begin this video that if you're not a millionaire, this is like the red car syndrome and you're wanting to be a millionaire. If you don't see a red car on the road and I ask you if you saw a red car, you'd be like, I don't see red cars. You aren't going to see wealth management or private banking unless you put it as a goal. So right now, let's just all commit you want to be in wealth management. Got it? All right, let's begin. So let's talk about wealth management number one. We're going to talk about private banking and just the use of banks and how do you do it. But if you don't put it on your radar, like I said earlier, it won't happen for you. It's sort of like being an accredited investor. That won't happen unless that's a goal. And no one talks about that. Most people talk more about living debt-free and not having credit card debt and all those crazy conversations when you need to be focusing the other direction. Making more money, investing more money, wanting to be accredited, wanting to be a private bank, and wanting wealth management. So what is wealth management, right? So usually it is people $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. There's companies who won't take you as a private bank and banker and has signed you on until you're probably in the 10, even 25 million. So the range is quite high, but $1 million is usually your starting point. Now I'm going to drop into what accredited is because I mentioned that. To be accredited means that you are making 200,000 or more for 2 years in a row, or you as a couple is making 350, or you're a millionaire. So accreditation is usually a first goal that we help you set on your way to becoming a millionaire, because you got to make 200 grand. So let's get there first. And then at least you can start investing in all the alternatives. There's nothing that is off the radar that you can't invest in once you're accredited. And then set a next target to be in wealth management, which means private banking. So private banking is something that's offered by banks and financial services companies. And it's for mostly people that are in their millions or more. So what happens, it's really cool. You get assigned a private banker. And as long as they're there and you're there, you get to stay. So I started private banking way back in the day when I was in California, when I moved to Nevada. Just recently, my private banker moved to Reno, so now I get another one. So the relationship with bankers is critical. Now let's talk about online banks for a minute, because a lot of you love the automation of all the online banks. The challenge is having a private banker is usually, at least for me, an eye-to-eye conversation. It's somebody that really knows your goals, knows your financial goals, and they actually know you know the rules of the bank. So let's go there next. How does banking work? Banking works on your deposits. And how they make money is what's called an arbitrage. So let's just say we're going to get your company up to $100,000, which, by the way, I have a guaranteed program that will help you make 100 grand in 365 days. Make sure you ask about that when you call into our office. When you put that 100,000 in the bank, gross revenues, not net, you give the bank permission now to go grab $1 million and give it out in consumer loans. Now those loans can range, because the interest rates are rising, anywhere between 8, 9, 12, I've even seen 15% for people who have worse credit. So you're going to spend a lot of money, but that's how banks make money, on the arbitrage of your deposits. So let's get smart about this. Every time that you're making a deposit, you're in partnership with that bank. It's not a one-way relationship. And I think a lot of you don't realize that you could, as you grow into private banking and wealth management, reduce your fees for the banking side. Now they might make it up on an alternative investing side later if they do your actually investment management. But on the bank side, your fees go down, you get consolidation, you get a private banker, you get different treatment, you get different lines to go in. There's a lot of reasons why you want to do it. And it's much more private, meaning your companies stay private, your trusts stay private, you as an individual stay private. You know, it's an interesting goal, becoming a millionaire. Like all my students that are not millionaires, I want to be a millionaire. Then when they get to $1 million, they start being quiet, because then you start really knowing and understanding why privacy is so important. And we're in the most litigating country in the world. So let me give you an example of how I used to private bank when I was back in Northern California. Is I kept track, as you will keep track, or you can go back and look at your statements, how much you put in for, say, a year in deposits. So we put in millions. And I went to the bank, had a private meeting, and said, I've given you this much, and I know that has given you 10x. So let's just say that number was 5 million. Right? They get $50 million to now lend out, whether that's home loans, car loans, computer loans, equipment loans, whatever they use in consumer loans. I just made them a lot of money. So when I went to them, I said, so I want to buy a laundromat because it's a fun kid business. My son was really young, and it's fun to kind of get all the coins and understand, some people don't have wash machines, and this is how laundromats work. And it's such a simple, fun kids business to have. And so I went in there, he said, well, you have 200,000, use your money. And I said, no, my money's invested at double-digit returns. I'm going to use your money for zero. And he laughed. He said, you're cute. And I said, yeah, I am. And then he said, I know you have to go to committee. So every week that banks go to committee and they talk about what they're going to lend in, and they have a whole, agenda. So he came back from the committee meeting at 2%. So I used the bank's money, $200,000 for 2%. And then, paid the 2%. I just paid interest. And then when I sold it, I paid back the whole balloon payment. So that's like the most effective use of other people's money. So those of you that are beginners, there's your lesson. As you start tracking the money that you make, the money your company deposits, you can do a lot of these beginning moves. Now, it might not be 200,000, and it might not be 2%. But if you don't even know to be aware of these conversations, you won't ever walk into them. So awareness is a big part of your journey towards being a millionaire and then entering into wealth management and private banking. A few other things that are a little more holistic for you beginners to do that aren't a millionaire or just really fresh millionaires. You got to get that company making money. And I'm saying company. You need to be an LLC, an S Corp, C Corp, limited partnership, and you have to have a trust. If you aren't even organized organizationally and corporately, most of the bank and financial institutions aren't going to look at you anyway. They're going to know you're super immature, that you don't even know the basics about tax code. Because at LLC, although those entities allow you 81,000 pages of tax code, so you can start earning your way in. So you have your own personal account, now you have your first LLC, and then maybe you open a C Corp, and then maybe you go buy real estate and you open another one. Now you have 4 lines of credit, you're putting money in the system, you're putting in deposits, you're being able to use credit, your credit scores are going up, your access to money is going up. This is like a real thing. People want to know, how do you think and make money the way the wealthy do? We play the game. We play the entire system in its legal entirety. See, and a lot of you only play a little bit. You wonder why it's not working. And there's some of you that would rather be right and poor than learn. So right now I'm gonna take a little break and say, subscribe to my channel. I need you to subscribe, and not only subscribe, I want you here every day. And not just, that you got a notification and then you ignore my bell in the morning. When my little bell goes, hello, I'm here. Wish I could actually do that on my little voice, because I would say, hello, wake up. And then you'd have 10 to 15 minutes of some financial literacy that we're going to talk about. If at any time there's a topic that I haven't talked about and you can't find it on my search bar, call our office. You can always do that, or go to askloral.com. You can always ask a question and then in there make comments, or go to the comments below and just say, hey, I want you to talk more about that or this, and things that that are interesting to you. I just came out with my book, Make Your Kids Millionaires. You've got to have a ton of questions, especially you parents who have never employed your kids, got a Roth IRA, or even considered this. So think about that. And also the last thing is, please share this with your friends and family. You are the sum of the 5 or 6 people you hang out with. So, don't have the only opinion about financial literacy, whether I'm right or wrong. I've been doing this a very long time, right? And I've done enough wrong that I know how to make it right, which is why I'm out here. I'm so passionate about getting you and your family financially literate so you can grow up into a millionaire and into a wealth management and private banking situation. Once you're in private banking and you start growing these LLCs, you're gonna have multiple corporations, multiple bank accounts, multiple investing accounts, and the privacy is worth it. The privacy of having somebody holistically looking and just being another set of eyes. That, with a proper CPA, proper legal team, proper mentoring team, you're gonna go fast. When I promised 3 to 5 years in my Millionaire Maker book, it's a true thing. And right now with the volatility of the market, it just creates so many opportunities. Cryptocurrency, NFTs, there's so much going on. But if you don't know how to time the market, you don't know anything about money, you're gonna get in trouble. So let us help you. One other thing, and I'll just have you go to the search bar and look for it, is life insurance. I've talked a lot about the proper kind of life insurance held in trust. So I'm not going to go into that in depth, but it is a big asset class in your wealth management plan. So take it all in, take some notes, make sure you subscribe. And what I'd like you to do right now is go to askloral.com. I started a new membership because there's so many people from our YouTube channel that have questions. I'm going to have you start going over there. You can ask a question or make a request. And then we're going to send you out an application to have a chat with us. And if you don't fill out the application, I'm going to send you to a quiz. We're just going to keep saying, hello, how do we help you, until you actually take action. Because watching this is one thing, doing something is another. And we are the doers. We are not the ATNAs, which is all talk, no action. So do something today, learn something today, and I'll see you tomorrow.